Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. Rick, a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, along with Reed Abedin and Eddie Soda. Rick has over 20 years of experience in the financial world, and we're going to talk about a little retirement today because that's it's right there in the title, the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. You can always find out more about Rick and the team by going to the website safeguardinvestment.com, safeguardinvestment.com. 5 offices in California. Rick in the Corona office most of the time. You can always give the team a call if you have questions, concerns, 800-700-1980. No cost, no obligation for this, 800-700-1980. Hey, Rick, ready to go?
Yes, sir. Let's do this.
All right, we're going to touch a little bit to start with anyway about, we've been talking about baby boomers for a long time. They've been retiring for a long time, it seems. But they retire at a rate of about $10,000 per day. $10,000 per day start Social Security. $10,000 per day start Medicare. So baby boomers have been the retirement story. But here's the thing, and I wanted to get your take on this because it's kind of interesting. There was a study being done, and it was saying, hey, a lot of retirees are thinking, holy cow, inflation, prices are rising. I'm going to have to go back to work. So there's a survey that says 55% of retirees who went back to work said they did so because they needed more money due to rising costs. Another little stat, 1 in 6 retirees is considering going back to work. Now, my guess is that one that's thinking about going back to work does not have the big picture blueprint that you create for your clients. What's your take on that?
Yeah, the scenario here is that if they're considering going back to work, it's usually, in most of the cases that I see, is because generally they didn't really have a plan going into retirement. And when we do things kind of willy-nilly or base our plan off of just general rules of thumb, when reality hits, then we're caught by surprise. So the big thing here is prior to retirement or as you're planning for retirement, it's often, important that, you sit down with somebody that specializes in this area so that way they can kind of help you game plan a strategy and make you aware of things that maybe you haven't even thought about before. Because of the fact that we've been, specializing in retirement planning for over 2 decades, a lot of the things that we actually implement in our practice is based upon probably 80% of the things that we implement in our practice based on the things that we've learned from our own clients over the years, based on their experiences and what we've seen them go through. So many people, again, they go into retirement and they're like, okay, great. I get X amount of Social Security, X amount for my pension. I got a little bit of money saved up in my 401ks, and they're like, okay, I'm good. And they're doing things willy-nilly. And then all of a sudden they see, maybe the economy's down, maybe the stock market's down. They sit noticing that all of a sudden they're starting to dip into those investments and that they're starting to spend it down. They start to panic. And the real reason is because they really don't have a true game plan.
And I think one of the cool things that Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment have available for you, if you're 3 to 5, 7 years out from retirement, you're like, I've been thinking about it, but I'm not really that close yet. I would like to learn more about it. Well, all you have to do is text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969, 951-667-4969. Text the word toolkit to that number, and you'll get retirement guides. You'll also get a webinar that Reed has done. It's about 30 minutes long, but you get that information to kind of give you a little background on some of the things you really need to understand about retirement. There's no cost to you. There's no obligation. There's no pressure whatsoever. It's there for your information. Then maybe you'll want to call after you get it because you'll have some questions. But just text the word toolkit. You'll get the retirement guides, the webinar, 951-667-4969. Rick, I wonder that, you've been doing this for 20 years. Are retirees' concerns similar or dissimilar to when you started?
I would say they're very similar. And one of the biggest things that retirees, whether it was many years ago or now, one of the biggest concerns is, hey, I'm concerned about outliving my money. That's probably one of the top concerns. And then probably and taxes. Those concerns have never really gone away. There may be some subtleties in environments 20 years ago as to now, but as long as we are sticking to the fundamentals, it doesn't matter what the economy throws at us or what administration is in office or what interest rates are. We have a plan, or you have a plan that's designed to, let's say, perform under any economic environment. So regardless of what the environment throws at you, you know that, hey, listen, this plan is going to take me through this. I don't need to worry. I don't need to panic. So just because the market's down one day or a month or a year, you want to be in the position of empowerment. And that truly makes the difference between somebody that, retires and having a good feeling as to, hey, this money's going to last me the rest of my life regardless, as opposed to somebody where we were saying earlier does things kind of willy-nilly. And now when the economy changes, a new administration comes in, this, that, or the other, now they're panicking, they're freaking out, and they're like, hey, listen, I don't know if this is going to last the rest of my life. And now they start thinking, do I need to go back to work again? And they're doing things in reverse. And now they're saying, okay, maybe I should sit down with an advisor now,
Right.
while I'm in the ninth inning, to figure out if I need to go back to work again.
Yeah, I wondered to a degree if your current clients at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, they've got the big picture blueprint: income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security's in the income part, Medicare's in the healthcare part. They've got all that. They know the markets are going to go up and down. You've talked to them about it. Hey, here's the deal. We're going to be fine in good and sour markets, because the sour markets hopefully won't last forever. We've got a plan. I wonder if their questions or concerns, and you don't get as many, obviously, as you do from prospective clients. Prospective clients, I wonder if they worry more about those kind of things, the market and so forth. Are there different scenarios between your clients and prospective clients, do you think?
100%. Because just as you said that, the reason why we have prospective clients is because they don't have a plan. If they did have a plan, then potentially they may not be prospective clients. And the scenario that we see is that with our clients, when we developed the plan in advance, we already said, hey, under the worst case scenario, you're going to be fine. And we show it to them in black and white. We educate them. And that's a big part of the investment. I guess this is where the investment planning world is really missing out, is really educating the client on the plan. I think a lot of plans, the way they're put together, is like, oh, here's this investment, here's the advantages of it, here, put your money in this. And the client's really taken the word of the advisor or whoever it is they're working with that, hey, this is going to be good for me. But they haven't seen it stress tested. They haven't seen it in black and white. How is this going to be good for me? If the worst case scenario happens, how is this supposed to sustain me? Where with our clients, what we do is we educate them. We make sure they understand the advantages, the disadvantages, and show them, hey, listen, worst case scenario happens. Here's how your income is going to remain the same. Here's how we can leverage the bad markets in your favor. So once you're empowered and you're educated, that is what gives you that comfortable feeling. So quick example, when the market was down last year, most of our clients were not worried. They were like, oh, great. We already knew we had a game plan for the down market, how we were actually going to leverage it in our favor. If the market's shooting up 10, 12% each year, I don't need to worry about that. They don't need to worry about that. But when the market was down, the reason why these prospective clients come to us is because what they're hearing from their broker is, oh, just hang in there. It'll come back again. And the whole time they're thinking, well, when? And can I sustain this? If the market's down 10 and I'm pulling out 4, I'm down 14. So they're stressing. That's not a game plan. So the big thing is making sure we have a game plan. Sorry to run so long on that one.
No, it makes perfect sense, I think, is that, that's the idea behind getting an actual retirement plan that covers all those areas that we just talked about, the big picture blueprint, the team at Safeguard. And it's all about you. That's the bottom line. It's about you. Maybe you need $5,000 a month. Maybe you need $20,000 a month. I don't know. Everybody's situation is unique. Maybe some people are really good with risk. They don't have any problem with it. Others are fearful of risk in the market. So everybody's situation is different. Remember this, Safeguard can help you in the market world. They can help you in the insurance world. So the world of safety, the world of risk, but also the world of growth is the market. And now with the new interest rates going up, the safe tools are even better than they ever have been. So a lot of moving parts. Rick and the team can help. Hey, Rick, before we go to the next segment, we're going to change topics. We're going to talk a little bit about the debt ceiling that finally got solved by the White House and by the Republicans, I guess, in the House and Senate and all of that kind of coming together finally. We're going to touch on that. But when people call you to come in and sit down, it's a 15, 30-minute phone call to see, hey, do we need to go a little further? Do you really want our help? Can we help? Those are big questions. But the number is 800-700-1980. No cost for this, 800-700-1980. Tell us, I don't want to run out of time this time because I usually run you out of time and don't give you the opportunity to speak about this. But you always say there's a couple things you'll do for them if they would just call and come in and sit down with you.
Yeah, if they come in and sit down with me within 45 minutes, I can almost guarantee you within 45 minutes, I've been doing this long enough that I can give you at least 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is that you've been doing when it comes to your retirement planning.
How about that? Just come in,
And
sit
it'll
down.
cost you nothing to do. It'll be free.
Absolutely. There's no cost to this, no obligation. Why would you not take advantage? If you're in that kind of that window of retirement, could be 5, 7 years out, could be 2 or 3 years. The idea is you need a plan. Why not come in and find out where you are? Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group can certainly walk you through your situation because it is about you. You're the CEO. It's your retirement. It's your hopes and dreams. How can Rick and the team help? 800-700-1980. Again, no cost for this. 800-700-1980. Back right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Rick, of course, a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has over 20 years of experience in the financial industry. You can always find out more, safeguardinvestment.com. You find out about events that they're putting on that maybe you might want to entertain, coming to learn something about some topic that's pertaining to your retirement. Safeguardinvestment.com. You can always give them a holler at 800-700-1980, no cost. The team's here to help if they can. They don't know if they can help you until you reach out. It's 800-700-1980. So, Rick, we've talked about the debt ceiling. Finally, everything got worked out, and it always does. And so I wanted to throw some sound bites at you and go back in time because I don't think it mattered. Trump had the same thing where the Democrats kind of had him over the barrel, and they had to, furlough the government workers for a few days. Obama's had the same thing. Every president deals with it. Certainly Biden did this year. So here's a soundbite from Barack Obama when the Republicans are playing a little hardball with this debt ceiling. Here's what he had to say.
Social Security checks and veterans benefits will be delayed. We might not be able to pay our troops or honor our contracts with small business owners. Food inspectors, air traffic controllers wouldn't get their paychecks.
So here's John Boehner, who was the Kevin McCarthy back in 2011.
Unfortunately, the president would not take yes for an answer. Even when we thought we might be close on an agreement, the president's demands changed.
So, Rick, we hear that every time this happens, and it's happened, I think we said like 68 or 76 times since, it was like 2012 or something. It's crazy how many times this has happened. But do we really need to worry? I mean, can this really affect our retirement? I suppose if they don't raise the debt ceiling, then we do have issues. And especially if you're a government worker and would be laid off. I think during Trump's time, they did furlough the government workers for a few days, maybe shut down the national parks for a few days. But kind of the same thing would happen with Biden this year. I mean, so how do you look at this? They finally fixed it. We knew they would. That's what you said at the time. They're gonna figure it out.
Yep, and they always do. And, here's a scenario. I don't worry about this over the long term. I've never worried about these things over the long term. And let me just tell you the reason why. If I came to someone and, a prospective client say, hey, listen, you know what? You're getting ready to retire. And I got this market that you can invest your money in that has recovered 95% of the time. Most people would say, wow, that sounds like, some pretty good odds. What I can tell everybody that's listening right now is that our market, regardless of who's in Congress, who's, whatever's going on, has recovered 100% of the time. So to give you a quick scenario, back in 1929, when we had the big, depression.
Yeah, Great Depression.
The Great Depression, and market dropped 84% in 1 year. Those people that jumped out of windows because of that, if they would have just held on by 34 months, less than just under 3 years, the market rebounded back in that time. And then after that shot up another 800%. So all of this noise that we're hearing in the news, I don't care if it's market declines, I don't care if it's a new administration, war, famine, inflation, oil embargoes, whatever it is, our market has experienced it and has always recovered. So if we know this, and history consistently repeats itself, because how many times do I get clients that, say, oh, well, if I only known, I would have invested more. So when the market goes down, people run for the hills. And then when it starts going back up and everything recovers, and there's, oh, if I only known, I would have put more money in. I've seen these cycles happen over and over and over again. So the scenario here is making sure that if we know that this is going to occur, and every bear market and even the Great Depression has lasted anywhere from 6 months to 34 months, if we know that's our timeline, listen, we can strategize for that. And there's a big difference between accumulation planning versus income planning, which I even wrote an article in the Daily News regarding that. So if we have a game plan that says, hey, listen, during downtimes in the market, we don't need to touch our market investments in order to live on. We can actually leverage the down markets in our favor. And we have other buckets of money that we can use to create our income that is guaranteed for life. Then that puts us in a more powerful position. So if you have a game plan that addresses income, that addresses inflation, that addresses emergencies, that addresses all your scenarios, regardless of what happens to the market, it puts you in a position where you can now be a more disciplined investor. You're in the driver's seat. We don't need to panic over short-term, information or bad news in the market or whatever's happening externally. Because again, these are just short-term blips. We have to look at things over the long term, and we have to make sure that we have the fundamentals in place that address all those areas.
So it's really important, I think, to where you're getting your news. And if you can get it from one place, maybe go to the other place that's telling you the other story, and then figure out the story is actually somewhere in the middle. That might be how it works. But you think about it, there's a lot of moving parts in retirement. So again, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the retirement toolkit, which includes the retirement guides, things you need to understand about retirement, plus Reed's webinar where they really talk about the process. What happens if you come in? How does it work? What are we trying to do for you? All of that information is available. All you have to do is text the word toolkit. There's no cost to you. Text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. 951-667-4969. This would be great information for you if the retirement's kind of looming. You're maybe 3 to 5 years out. I'd like to learn a little bit more. I don't know if I need to sit down with Rick just yet, but boy, you don't want to say, hey, Rick, I'm retiring next Friday. How can you help me? The more time, the better for the team at Safeguard. That'd be fair to say, wouldn't it, Rick?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's so many strategies out there, Mark, that the more time we have, the more we can leverage them in your favor. Whether it be, hey, does it make sense for you to do Roth conversions? If I'm going to consider Roth conversions for an individual and I want to do it in the most tax efficient manner possible, we need a little time on our side. The challenge is sometimes somebody comes to me and let's just say RMD age is 73 and they come to me and they're, 70 and they're like, hey, Rick, now I'm thinking, now that RMD age is, just a couple of years, 3 years away, what can we do in order to save taxes on these RMDs? Well, my hands are a little bit tied. And here's what a lot of people don't realize. Once you become, let's just say 73 and you're required to pull distributions out of your IRA, and let's say you tell me, well, Rick, I don't need the money. Let's just go ahead and pay the taxes and convert it over to a Roth. You can't do that with the RMD distributions. So we lose all our efficiencies. So the earlier you start your planning, I'm only using this one item as an example.
But that could be 50. That could be 59 and a half when you can do the rollover of your 401k. Most companies allow you to do that. Maybe you're not retiring for another 5 to 10 years, but it gives you more time to do those types of things.
Correct. And this is just one aspect. I mean, there's countless aspects that I can share with you that people come in to see us where they'll say, you know what, I had no idea. Or, you know what, there's people that come in and they're like, Rick, you know what, after listening to you, you know what, I realize I don't know what I don't know. And that's why I'm coming in to see you as early as possible, because if there are strategies or things I can use, I want to leverage them now. The challenge is, folks, the longer you wait, Some of these things will not be as efficient and you can't leverage them as great. So the sooner you start your planning, what do you got to lose to sit down with somebody? If it turns out that everything you're doing is perfect and there is nothing else that you need to do, then that's a good feeling. You go to the doctor and he says, hey, great, you're in perfect health. Good. Now you walk away, you feel good, you take a deep breath. But if you come in early and we find, hey, you know what, you're doing well, but here's some areas where you can totally leverage in your favor that you didn't know about, that will empower you as well. So I think that's the big thing, is just seeing somebody early and figuring out, hey, what are some areas that maybe you didn't even know you could leverage, be educated on those things.
Sure, absolutely. So give me a timeline. What are you, 5 years out, 10 years out? What's the best scenario?
I would say at least 5 years out or longer. I mean, and I'm trying to be reasonable because I know, most people, they're busy, they want to procrastinate, but honestly, the earlier the better. The earlier the better. But if you're 5 years out from retirement, then the red light should be going off, saying, okay, I can't put it off anymore. The earlier the better. Come out 10 years earlier, great. We can start setting steps. But if you're 5 years away from retirement, then an alarm should be going off in your head saying, hey, let me sit down with somebody. Let me not take any chances. Let me at least get a second opinion on all of this.
Because wouldn't that be great? You come in and sit down with Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, and they say, man, you've done everything great. You could have retired 3 years ago if you wanted to. Or the other scenario, because I think I've got enough, but I don't really know, but I think, and I'm going to go ahead and retire next month. And you're really not in that good of a shape where maybe you need to work another year or two. You don't really know. Why don't you want to find out these things? Rick and the team are giving you that opportunity for no cost, no obligation. Great opportunity, I think, to find out where you are on that road to retirement. 800-700-1980. There's a lot of things that Rick and the team at Safeguard can do because they do this day in and day out. We don't work in the retirement world. They do. They're here to help guide us. They're your Sherpa for retirement, if you will. 800-700-1980. Call them now. What a great opportunity for you. 800-700-1980. Rick, as always, enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll do it again next week.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.